In this video, we're gonna break down how to make a track in the signature tech house style of Joshwa. From punchy drums to groovy bass lines and infectious vocal chops. Get ready to dive into the essential techniques to define that sound. Let's go. So Joshwa is always using these very deep and dark UK garage kind of bass lines, and I really love his kind of sound. There is no one in the scene who has the same sound as him. He brought something fresh and new to the industry, which I really like, and he is dominating the scene for quite a long time right now. So shout out to Joshwa, and we're gonna start with the low end. The low end contains 3 layers. First one is the kick. Pretty simple, cut it away some of the high frequencies around here to make space for the punchy drums. And I added a kick tweak. I once saw Chris Lake using this great plugin from Single Makers, and since then I never stopped using this. It's awesome, it works on every kick, a lot of presets where you can choose it. And then we have the low end. And what I did here on the low end is I automated some frequencies here in the EQ, as you can see here. And it's sounding very deep, and I like to open up frequencies here and there to make it sound less boring and gives it a little bit more drive. And also what I did here is I added a wider, which is a free plugin. I love this plugin, it's awesome. And what you can do, you can make things wide. And they added a new feature on this one. So they added this function right here, and what you can do right here is you can choose which area you want to affect. So I don't want to affect the low end, so everything above this is gonna sound wide, and everything underneath that is not affecting that. So that's awesome. So we want to keep the low end mono, of course, so it's only affecting everything above this. And then the second sound is a tom. I added a wider here on the tom as well, and together it sounds like this. And this is how the MIDI looks like, and I added a groove pool on it. This groove, I love this. I'm always using this, and yeah, it's a super simple MIDI, but it works for this track. So, and then we come to the drums, and this is where the magic happens. So it's a lot of top loops which I've used. So I've used a part of a drum loop. I've then used 2 claps as well. I love when claps not sounding exactly the same every time. And these kind of things really makes your track more interesting. Then I have some percussion loops. I also added a wider on this percussion loop, and I cut a lot of frequencies away. And then I have this closed head. I didn't do anything on the head. It was sounding good as it is. What I did is adding some tiny bit of reverb here. I've used the send for that, and this is the reverb on the send channel. And I sent this top loop to that same channel as well. And then I have a open 909 head to close the bar. And these kind of things gives a lot of drive and groove to your track. Then I have this shaker, and I pan it to left and right just a tiny bit to add a little bit more dimension to the sound. And then together it sounds like this. And then together with the kick and bass, it sounds like this. And then I have used a glitch drum. And what I did actually, I added the fracture on one of the top loops which I've used, and it was this one. And I freeze that because the plugin, if you have it open like all the time, it starts to sound very weird. It's not sounding the same every time. I freeze that, and this is what I ended up with. And together with the drums, it sounds like this. And then with the low end, you don't hear it actually very well the first time when you hear this, but it adds a lot of character to your sound. And then we have some effects. Some texture loops, crash sounds, some scratches, and a lot of weird stuff like this. It makes your track sound better. And together with everything we have right now, it's sounding like this. And then for the vocal, I have this. I just added some delay with the settings like this to make it sound very robotic. And then we have this typical Joshwa vocal stutter. And it's very simple. I just threw the vocal into the project, and then I set the settings on the warp mode like this. So I set it to beats per serve to 160, and then with a very short transient like this. And then you get that stutter feeling. What I did as well, I added a groove pool on this sound as well to let it match with the rest of the track. So the drums, for example. Because if you have a different rhythm, it sounds very chaotic in a bad way. And then the last thing is this garage sound. And I have used this patch. You can copy it, but it's from Splice actually. So together it sounds like this. So that wraps up our guide to make a track in the style of Joshwa. So if you like these kind of tutorials, don't forget to subscribe on our YouTube channel. Please leave a like and leave a message, and see you on the next video. Bye.